that's going to speak against Joe Manchin. No. I want to know who's the real president of this country. Is it Joe Biden or Joe Manchin?
I'm sorry. I interrupted. I don't think the vice president can hear you. It's Simone. I'm so sorry, Charlamagne. We have to wrap.
She can hear me.
Can you hear me? Can you hear me now?
Can you hear me, Madam Vice President?
So I'm sorry. We got to wrap. Oh. So I'm sorry to interrupt.
They're acting like they can't hear me.
I can hear you.
Oh, so who's the real president of this country? Is it Joe Manchin or Joe Biden, Madam Vice President?
Come on, Charlamagne.
Come
on. It's Joe Biden.
I can't tell sometimes.
No. It's Joe Biden. And don't start talking like a Republican about asking whether or not he's president.
Do you think Joe Manchin is a problem?
It's Joe Biden, and I'm vice president, and my name is Kamala Harris. And the reality is, because we are in office, we do the things like the child tax credit, which is going to reduce Black child poverty by 50%, on track to do that.
Well, if you're going to keep talking about doing the child tax credit, you better stop talking soon, because it might expire during your little talk there, because that's done thanks to Joe Manchin. So to return to the point we were talking about before, who's actually in charge? So they tried to pretend that she couldn't hear, and then another aide tried to cut off the conversation, which is if the issue was that you couldn't hear, why would you instantly cut it off? You're just jumbling up your excuses at that point. But to her limited credit, she actually started to answer the question, kind of. She was incredibly tense, Francesca, and said that Charlamagne the God there was talking like a Republican.
Tense, defensive, scoldy, not very vice presidential. Doesn't look very confident or project an air that this White House has got it. And honestly, I was struck by how patronizing she was. And it reminded me, let's be honest, the last time that Charlamagne the God spoke to somebody in the executive branch, it was Joe Biden, or a presidential hopeful Joe Biden, telling him, "You ain't black." And I have to draw the parallel here, but the way that Kamala Harris, Vice President Harris, spoke to Charlamagne the God was also sort of a, hey, shut up. Don't question us. We are in charge, and you know that, and almost treating him like a kid. And look, Charlamagne the God is like a comedian, host, whatever. I'm not saying, he's not trying to definitely do a gotcha question, and he's trying to ruffle her feathers. Mm-hmm. But he's actually speaking to a question that I think we all have. So answer him with a little bit more respect and a little bit more poise, and a position and a poise worthy of the vice presidential office. I don't know, from what we've been hearing, the vice presidential's office is it's a hot mess. It's a hot mess.
Yeah, I don't know if it was the body language where she's squirming in her seat and doing this, or the fact that he's looking at a big screen, but it reminded me of a Star Trek episode where they're communicating with a hostile alien species that's threatening to blow up their ship. It felt like that. I agree. Look, I don't necessarily care about poise as a general thing. In this case, though, her, I think, somewhat feigned frustration, combined with that BS talking point that he sounds like a Republican, was designed to avoid having a substantive, productive conversation.
Yeah.
So implying that he's either questioning that Biden actually won the election or that he's being controlled is not what Charlamagne was doing. That's not what he was doing. He was saying who actually wields power, who is determining the course of the country, the course of the party, the course of the Biden administration. Now, you could have had a somewhat defensive response from Kamala Harris that was more productive. And I think it could have gone like this. Well, you know what? It's incredibly frustrating that people like Joe Manchin are working to undercut my president, Joe Biden. But you know what we're gonna do? We're gonna show that he is still a president, because he's going to cancel student loan debt via executive order. He's gonna do as much as he can through executive order to get as much of this done as possible. And then we're gonna go to West Virginia, and we're gonna talk to Joe Manchin's constituents and remind them of who the president is and who's gonna actually represent them. You could have gone off on all sorts of different stuff like that.
Or you
but
don't
instead
even have
she
to
tried
say,
to divert it.
Yeah, and if you do want to shut it down and you do feel disrespected, be like, it's Joe Biden. Thank you, Charlamagne. Smile. I'm on a comedy show. Have a good night. That's literally, that's all you have to do. That would have shown a little bit more respectability than what she did. Sorry,
and
you're
so we ended
drinking
up getting
coffee.
basically nothing. Yeah.
Yeah.
Technically chai.
Ooh.
Yes. Who's actually in charge? Is it coffee or chai? Check out the Damage Report podcast each day, wherever you get your podcasts, whether Pocket Casts or Stitcher or iTunes. You can join me as I give you the news and stories you want, with a range of co-hosts and interview guests jumping in on the fun each day. Again, that's the Damage Report, wherever you get your podcasts. And if you get them at iTunes, don't forget to rate and review. Sometimes I'll read them live on the show.